Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Lance Loveday on the line, and he's CEO over at Closed Loop. Lance, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing over at Closed Loop and how you're helping your clients. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career and in business?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story. I'll make it short. I initially thought I wanted to be a lawyer and went to law school and figured out, I hate analyzing things 12 ways from Sunday once I've figured out the answer. And that's what you do largely in law schools. You beat the heck out of a case once you're briefing it and so on. So made the decision to drop out of law school, ended up getting a job in politics, which, as it turned out, ended up being great training for a career in marketing. After a while, a friend of mine in the Bay Area called me up and said she had a position open at a big tech company, so I made that transition into technology, rode the wave of the first .com boom, and was getting ready to go public with a startup I joined up there. And then the crash hit, so I lived through that, and I was laid off on a Tuesday, and I'm sitting there in my kitchen table in Cupertino, brainstorming company name ideas and doing domain name searches, and I came up with Closed Loop, and been doing this for about 20 years now, fortunately. So I've been an entrepreneur and working for myself for about 20 years.
Wow, what an amazing story! And what I love about it is that you had multiple pivots, as we all do in our careers, whether we're entrepreneurs or or working at a large corporation. All the same, we have pivots, we have changes. That being said, there's some younger entrepreneurs and/or people that are just starting their career that maybe they're kind of in the middle of going through those pivots as we speak, and they don't necessarily know what's on that other side, right? None of us do. But you do have the benefit of hindsight, and you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and you've been through a couple. What kind of advice would you give to that young person that's out there right now just trying to find their way?
Yeah, as cliche as it might sound, I would encourage people to really get in touch with their instincts and to follow their instincts. And, I in retrospect, was a little too tentative for too long. And because I was young and early in my career, and I was junior positionally to, a lot of the other, obviously the executives and such at HP and some of the other places I worked, I told myself, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing here. But if I really listened to that internal voice, the story that I was telling myself was, gosh, I sure seem to have better instincts than these other people, especially as related to internet marketing at such a time, which was relatively new, but very buzzy. And I actually had more domain expertise than any of these people. And I was the most qualified person to be making a lot of these decisions. Fortunately, I was able to help pursue some really good opportunities, and I was able to help kill a lot of really bad ideas. But I didn't have the courage of my convictions at the time to kind of really step out and blaze my own trail. And had I had the courage to do that at the time, I certainly don't regret how anything has gone for me. I've done well, and I really love my life. But I do wish that I had been more bold earlier and followed my instincts, because I spotted a lot of trends earlier on that had I really had the courage to pursue them, could have really led to some interesting outcomes.
Man, that's great insight. I love it. Lance, I want to switch it up. I do want to spend some time on Closed Loop. So you've been in business over 18 years now. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure. When I was working in tech in the Bay Area, I was one of the first advertisers on GoTo.com, which was one of the first paid search engines out there.
Wow, yeah.
GoTo.com, became Overture, which was bought by Yahoo, which is now defunct. Which
you go way back.
Oh yeah, I've been at this for a while, and was one of the first advertisers on Google. And this is like before Google AdWords or any of that stuff. We actually called Google on the telephone and bought all their inventory, and we bought it on a cost per impression basis. And Google at the time was they didn't know how to value their ad inventory. They didn't know how to forecast their inventory, and they didn't have a platform to manage it all. So we literally bought all of the ads for the one keyword at a time. So I was representing Quicken Loans at the time, and so I called up and said, we want to own the ad space on the keyword mortgage for all of
Get out.
No, serious. And refinance.
Dan Gilbert must have loved you. Oh my gosh.
Actually, so I got to launch the paid search campaigns for Quicken Loans way back then, and I met with Dan and his exec team, and
oh my gosh.
We I kind of had to sell them on this as a viable channel at the time. This is how far how long ago this was, and sold them on it. They were convinced, and then obviously they've grown by leaps and bounds of their own accord, and more power to them. But yeah, I was able to kind of be at the tip of the spear for them, and launch their paid search campaigns, really helped to scale those, and then they built up an amazing internal team to take all that stuff over time, and so I got to have these really interesting experiences early on as the industry was evolving in terms of paid advertising, paid media, and I started off as a lone wolf consultant, but had opportunities start to come my way that were going to require me to grow the company. And so I bit the bullet around 2004, 2005 and started hiring people and building a company, and told myself that if I kept the bar high on the quality of people I bring into the organization, that I could avoid a lot of the common dysfunctions that seem to set in as companies grow. And I'm really pleased to say that for the most part, I feel like we've been successful in that. We operate at a really high level. We run really sophisticated campaigns for our clients who are mid and large size spend advertisers, and we've developed our own technology over time that we use to help them outperform the market and gain market share, and we have a lot of fun in the process. And I've surrounded myself with A players, and when you surround yourself with A players, you can't help but want to always up your game, and that has really helped me to just generate a lot of enjoyment, a lot of success, and a lot of joy.
Man, that's really exciting. What a story. And just that whole Quicken Loans, Dan Gilbert connection, it just cracks me up. I'm like, I knew somebody was in the forefront of that way back in the day, because it made no sense to me how they got the online presence so quickly over banks that have been around for over 100 years, because nobody else understood what was going on per se, and you saw that. And now, again, obviously they've done a lot of work too, but you bought that space. I don't care what anybody says. You had mortgages for a quarter that had to count for something on their journey, so that's legit.
It was pretty funny, because I told you they didn't know how to value their inventory.
Yeah,
so
of course.
And we knew what it was worth, of course, so we'd call up and lowball them. And we'd cross our fingers, right? And it was always a negotiation, but they didn't know what it was. Of course. So we locked it in for a quarter, and cheers went up in the office, because we knew we were just going to print money that quarter.
Wow! Oh my gosh, that's amazing! I'm dying. That Google's listening to us right now. We better stop this. They're listening to us one way or another. They're like, they owe us.
Fine.
I know they have. So, Lance, if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking about whether or not Closed Loop is the right type of company to work with, and if they're a right match for you also, what are the type of companies, niches? Let's go a little bit further into that, of the type of resources and people you like working with.
Sure. We work with, as I said, primarily larger advertisers, people spending $100,000 a month and up on digital advertising. And we work with clients who have a clear direct response objective. That is, they're trying to drive sales or leads via their website. And we run those digital media campaigns for them. We'll build the campaigns, we'll instrument them, We will tie together their back-end tracking, their CRM systems, so that we can do what we call full funnel optimization on those campaigns and optimize to lead quality, optimize to long-term customer value, and ideally make these paid channels a form of competitive advantage for our clients. But it's primarily for those larger advertisers with a direct response objective.
Any kind of trends you see, just in general, that you care to comment on in either digital advertising or digital overall? I mean, you have a pretty unique vantage point because you were there. I mean, once you said the go-to and then the Yahoo, I'm like, okay. So you know some things, you spotted some trends. Not going to tell you to have your crystal ball on what's next, but any trends you care to comment on?
I have been really surprised by the growth and the effectiveness of paid social, and even for B2B clients. I would not have thought that the spend mix, or the right spend mix for clients, would be as high for paid social as it has turned out to be. And we're finding a lot of clients are underinvested there because I think they probably had the same assumption that I did early on, that it's just not going to be as effective, or the audience won't be there, or that it's a mismatch perhaps for B2B. But that has really been an aha for me in the last couple of years, and it's a completely different beast than paid search. In terms of the mechanics of how you get the most out of it, but the potential is still there to generate an outsized return from paid social.
Yeah, I like that you bring that up. And what's also changed that I've just kind of noticed is from platform to platform, it's pretty interesting to see these new platforms launch and new niches, and for some, depending on the business, of course, right? But for some businesses, even a smaller platform, and typically the advertising can be a lot cheaper on that newer platform, depending, right? They can really generate significant revenue, even with not the highest user base and not the highest even name value for some of these influencer marketing campaigns, and it just blows my mind on the type of revenue that can be generated with the right mix and the right people doing things. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, if you've got the right vertical and the right creative approach, you can really blow the doors off with some of the smaller platforms sometimes, and LinkedIn and Twitter in particular, and it's unexpected, for a lot of our clients. They're completely blown away at how much they've been able to scale on even some of the smaller platforms.
Awesome. Well, hey, Lance, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing over at Closed Loop. If somebody's listening to this and they do want more information, what's the best way for them to research Closed Loop?
I would just send people to our website, closedloop.com, and we've got all kinds of resources out there, information about us, obviously our blog and writings, as well as links to other resources out there.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you for coming on the show today, Lance. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, share this with your friends, your family, your colleagues. I mean, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. It really does mean a lot to me. And Lance, thanks again for coming on.